Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to Overwatch PIT Championships North American Group A action. I'm LD, and I have the honor to be joined here today by Joshy. How you doing, Joshy? We have Complexity taking on Gale Force now in a battle of teams that have struggled quite a bit in this group stage.
Well, I'm doing great. Anytime I get to cast some Overwatch feels good for me. So happy to be here with you for the Overwatch pit. But this is the finale of Group A, as you mentioned. Gale Force and Complexity up to this point, unable to find any series wins between the two of them. But there's good news. One of them has to win here. so
Are you sure?
this
What if we triple draw? I guess we'll have three tiebreakers.
I mean, anything is possible, but I'm assuming we're going to have one of these teams finally grabbing a series win, and that means dignity, respect, both on the line here. Both teams are unable to advance into the playoffs, so at least they can be the team that didn't go winless. So I'm hoping that we're going to see some real fireworks out of these teams, regardless of what they have to gain from it.
All right. Well, we are getting into it. We've got a new map pool as this week gets underway, so it's going to be Gibraltar to start things off. Thoughts on the two teams? You know, as we discussed, both have struggled. I think, at least in all the games that I cast, it seemed like Gale Force was really kind of a step below the other teams. Complexity at times a little more competitive. I mean, obviously their records 0 and 4. It looks like they're clearly worse than the other teams in the group, but I feel like Complexity's matches overall were a bit closer despite having the same record.
Well, they're interesting because mostly what's holding both of the teams back compared to the rest of the group is just the rotating rosters complexity. Since losing Harblue and JKW, it's just been kind of a revolving door for them over the last couple of events that they've played in. They've shown something like 4 or 5 different players to fill up the lineup that Shake, Twerk, Nicholas, and Joe Meister are the core of. So complexity, having that core of 4 players that have been playing together over a year now is actually benefiting them a lot. Just compared to these tier 2 teams trying to fight their way up. So complexity obviously on the rails a little bit, not winning a series, but again, that core of 4 should be enough, I think, to put up a good match against Gale Force. And Gale Force, they're still struggling to find their starting 6 as well. Shrugger and Clockwork were not on the squad last time I cast them. So I know that they're both very powerful offensive players. Hopefully that'll be enough for Gale Force to stay in there as well.
Okay, so it looks like we are seeing that Eco Torb initially. Now that is something I will say about this team is they have not been afraid to mix up Eco's hero pool, like more so. I mean, like we saw Defran mix up a little bit, and certainly all these players have wider hero pools, but not every team wants to mix it up. Eco's a player that's played almost everything we've seen. Like the Zarya come out from him. He's played Genji for the team. He has played Torb with questionable results, but still has played it. Torb in general has not done well in this tournament. But yeah, so I am curious to see if they'll consider running it here to start on defense.
Well, I have been a pretty vocal enemy of Torb, I think, on defense is the word I would use. Every time I see Torb come out, I groan a little bit. I don't expect them to use it on Gibraltar. I think I've seen it successfully used maybe one time out of the last 20 or so. Basically the idea is to get Torb's turret on the high ground in the very last stretch and just play a very, very recessed defense with a soldier so that you can kind of crossfire each other. But more recently, I think Torb has really only popped out on Numbani A and maybe Hollywood A defenses. Gibraltar, it's just hard because the payload itself is a moving target. If you've got, an angle that you can work with as Torbjorn on point A defense of those hybrid maps, then you know that they're not going to be flanking you constantly, for example, trying to blow up your turrets. So I could see the reasoning for Torb. Obviously, if armor starts to pile up, you get that snowballing advantage. But if Torb dies before he's able to give armor to everyone, he's kind of a liability.
Yeah, I mean, to that, I guess to your point, we've also seen quite a bit of Torb on Hanamura in this tournament. Again, also not very successful, but another example of a map that has a static initial point you have to capture. So, um, oftentimes teams a little late to switch off on it, get punished. But for now, they are showing it, and they're showing it with the Orisa. So, you never know. Maybe we will
Ah,
see it.
So that is a combination that actually can work out. I only faced it a couple of times. I've played maybe 30 Masters games or so since the new season began, but Orisa plus Torb is actually kind of disgusting. That 900 HP barrier in front of a Torb turret where you've got the back against a wall means that you have to break through the actual Orisa shield to deal with it, and that's something that obviously Pharah, Soldier with the Helix rocket. They're going to be trying to take down the Torb turret from range, and when they can't get through 900 HP to do it, they're typically going to leave it there, and the Torb turret just piles up damage so quickly that he gets Molten Core rather quickly. So if they were to stick with the Torb Orisa, I would like to see that combo in action. It looks like they're not going to do it, though, of course, as they always do at the time to change. It looks like they're going to go still a more recessed defense, though, with Soldier, Genji, and Tracer.
Yeah, so they're going to be running dive comp here. As for the offensive squad, Gale Force, yet to see what they're going to pick up. Then generally WGB is on the Lucio for them. So these are most likely largely troll picks, though we're getting close. Okay, no Bastion. A man can dream. You know, when you're playing for pride and dignity, you're also playing to entertain the viewers. So, you know, I would give them some brownie points if they busted out the Bastion.
I just saw the decapitated cam that you gave me there in the break, but we are here now battling it out. Doors are open. We get the final look on everything. Zenyatta for the attacking team against Ana for the defending team is always a dynamic to pay attention to. That Discord orb bouncing from target to target can really help Shrugger and Clockwork just destroy the defenders.
You're going to see Clockwork already assuming high ground. Torque forced to back away pretty quickly. Poking at Eco, just diving past, kind of knifing his way through the defense. And they are going to isolate, bring down Nicholas. That's a huge fulcrum of the defensive effort here. So now Torque trying to stall things out on the payload. He's going to recall, grabs the Mega Pack, trying to head back into action. But you have to find too many kills here as Clockwork gets onto him, gets a little juked out, going to back off, deal with this Winston as well, who will end up falling. So Mezza's down. Ultimate's getting relatively close. Torque, though, ends up getting slashed apart. Shrugger will deal with him. And now looking for a little bit more on the backline. Pretty staggered defense already. They're doing an okay job at stalling thus far. Just constantly bouncing on off the payload, but not really finding too many kills.
Well, yeah, it seems that in the end, you've still got everyone in good health on the attacking team, while the defense have been kind of struggling here to find any kills at all. Joe Meister is going to be the first one back, and Lucio, it's my personal opinion, should never really be leading the charge out there. We've got a nano-boosted Mezza Winston here on the point. He does have Orb of Discord on him, so in the end, he is going to fall extremely low before popping the Primal Rage and slapping Shrugger and Banny away.
Probably like the worst possible target in the game to try and focus with as a Genji with a blade. The nano-boosted Winston will end up having to back off in the end. Boink, dropping his aimbot, doesn't get a whole lot accomplished. Meanwhile, Nicholas working on him, but has to deal with the sound barrier. Now gets the bonus sound barrier in his own right. They're stalling this one decently, and they do seem to have a slight numbers advantage now. Offense gonna have to reset. Cart parked in a very bad position, 1.4 meters away from the checkpoint, but not there yet. So they have the much more spawns to deal with.
Shrugger getting dealt with there by Mezza. The Winston, of course, is basically in play just to try and torch down the Genji as quickly as possible. Echo? There's a lot of ways you can pronounce that. He's going to take out Clockwork pretty quickly there. Boink goes down as well, and defense bought themselves a lot of time, and suddenly Gale Force have maybe 2 solid pushes left in this attack to try and secure that last couple of meters.
I've heard, you say Echo, I've said Eco, I heard EQO the other day, but that just feels like a mouthful, so well, if anybody knows how you actually want to pronounce stuff, by all means, do tell us. But for now, I'm just going to stick with Eco and hope for the best as they dive up onto the high ground. Now Mezza still holding the card. This is going to force out a Transcendence rather early as they try to push this thing through. Get stuck. Will end up going down. Nice pick there. Now Eco next on the list. Torque quickly dropping in turn. Joe Meister just being forced way back, and they will finally push the payload through. Can't even kill up the Genji. Wakes up Shrugger, and Shrugger is going to end up scooting away as Boink finds the kill. So they now have time, Joshi, to get high ground here, potentially atop a spaceship before the defense gets in.
That's actually one of the best use cases for Transcendence there. Zenyatta was not bunched up with his entire team in a Graviton Surge or an Earth Shatter or something like that. He was able to actually bounce around, so one Biotic Grenade was not enough to shut him down completely, and kept everyone up long enough for the Pulse Bomb to go off and the point to be secured. Eco's going to be the first one down to Shrugger's attacking Genji. That gives them some nice value moving forward through the second phase.
Aimbot activated, brings down Nicholas, turning over, carving up the defense here as Gale Force getting some good push. A little stall attempted by Torque, but not going to last for long. They're struggling pretty hard here, Joshi, on the second point. Will they get a good contest off before it gets to the second checkpoint? That is the question.
Well, looks like they are going to contest. At least Primal Rage Winston is here. Meza takes out Clockwork before jumping into the fray, but he's pretty much alone here. He's going to do his best to contest as long as possible. The defender spawn is quite close, but he is surrounded by 3 members of the attacking team. That Orb of Discord makes short work of him, and Nicholas could have contested, but Torque is going to bounce in instead, drop the Pulse Bomb, and try to be a nuisance on Tracer.
Tries to aimbot, but very low, and now the beat gets dropped, completely shutting him down. Boink, guns down his soldier counterpart with ease now, dropping the healing station, tries to stay alive, will punch down Showmeister with the help of Muma, and stays on the cart. Again, another timely Lucio ult. Could be enough to push this cart through. Bonnie has been an absolute beast on the hero. And still Winston, stalling okay, but Meza doesn't quite have the Primal Rage. He'll end up going down. Eco not even close to being in position. So a pretty decent time set as they get through the second checkpoint. 3 minutes and change to go to push it all the way.
Yeah, the fact that they got the checkpoint finally is going to allow them to get some more mileage here, as they have a lot of time to push up against the defenders, not let them get high ground or that corner under control. So Winston, of course, is a big part of that. It looks like Meza is going to leap up onto the high ground to try and chase away that soldier, but as it is, the Genji's battling it out now, and the cart is going to continue moving.
Echo, trying to unleash the blade. He's going to end up falling immediately. Winston goes down as well, saving the Primal Rage, I guess, but it's going to be potentially their last fight of the side. The cart is freely rolling in. Not a whole lot of offensive ultimates ready just yet, but with a couple of good picks, we could see a few. Pulse Bomb, almost available. That could be the big one. Looking for the stick. Joe Meister actually didn't get stuck, but walks back into the bomb, gets punished for it. They kill off the Diva, and now things start to crumble for Complexity. Cart still free rolling. Winston trying to stall. Primal Rage no longer. He'll go down. A Shrugger dives in deep towards the spawn, and this could well be the last fight. They've got to get back to the payload.
Shrugger's Genji keeps showing up, and if they don't deal with him, he's going to continue to do so, and this time it's going to allow them to get into the very final stretch, but there's not the whole team actually present here for the attacking team. Gale Force, Torque is going to get the kill on Muma, and that's actually going to set them back quite a bit. Now 2 kills piling up for Complexity. They should be able to hang on here. Oh,
he really wanted to team max that pesky Diva, but Clockwork going to end up paying for it. Didn't quite have the pulse bomb. The Winston shield frustrating him a lot. Defense is going to assume a better position now. See Complexity able to hold on, and that means time back going to run into a more reasonable threshold now. About a minute and a half left to even finish off the map. Torque could be big here. Has the pulse bomb ready. Will he find a pick though? He's just showing himself low ground, jumping in, completely whiffing. All right, I jinxed him. I feel bad now, but they're going to have to fight it minus that free power play.
Well, lots of ults come flying out. Genji is going to dash into the backline with the help of that sound barrier, but can he get the kill on Echo or Joe Meister? Not able to find either before the sound barrier comes out. Clockwork into the mix now as well, helps take out Twerk. Meza, the Winston for the defenders, is going to fall as well. Muma is actually standing strong. He's going to push into the spawn itself, while Shrugger finally gets his blade out, does clean up. Nicholas and Joe Meister. Twerk's going to return, but won't last long. Echo as well, going to get gunned down there by Boink's Tac Visor, and Gale Force finished with just under a minute. Pretty strong third stretch there for them.
Yeah, just a solid all-around showing. Complexity okay at stalling, but it never really felt like they were, holding or had a chance at a full hold anywhere before that point. So slowly ceding ground. They'll need a decent offense. Have to see what they bring out. But yeah, Gale Force looking solid overall. I kind of thought Complexity would have the edge coming into this matchup just based on performance against some of the stronger teams in the group. But with a showing like that on offense, if they can do anything close on defense, they might just take the first map.
If I've learned anything from casting Overwatch, it's that one bad defense does not mean a good offense. And sometimes both teams just forget what they're doing. They collapse completely. Complexity still could set a time of like 3 minutes left or something like that. You just never really know what's going to happen. And the truth is, actually on Gibraltar, notoriously, the first checkpoint is super important because the spawns are so vastly different. If you die early and then they get checkpoint A, you spawn inside the shuttle room, it can be very difficult to get back to your team in time. Sometimes you just get blown up. If you die late and they capture checkpoint A, you have no time to set up on the shuttle or the high ground, and the offense just flood in and take control. So it's really, really vital to have the entire team together, whether you die really fast early in the fight or late. As long as you're together, you can put up a good defense in the second stretch.
Yeah, we did see that where Gale Force had that Zen ult, took the point, got a couple kills, and then were able to all get on top of shuttle. It made it really hard for Complexity to contest the second point. It wasn't really until third where they found a good defense. So I think a great point there, Joshy. We'll see For now, Gale Force also setting up fairly far back on their own defense. We used to see teams hold that more aggressive choke point, but as of late, it just doesn't seem like... I mean, maybe Selfless would play it differently, but most of the teams don't want to play that far up. So here we go. Offense getting ready to move out.
Right as the game begins, is Eco like Echo or Eco?
Are you trying to sabotage them?
Well, no, he can type if he wants or not, but either way, I meant to ask slightly earlier. It just dawned on me when I saw it in chat. But either way, we've got the doors open now. You can see it's dive again on both sides, and no differences this time. It's going to be an Ana in tow on both sides, so no Orb of Discord in play.
Yeah, Torque, pretty aggressive position here. Wants to dash across, but with the defense holding that back ridge, very dangerous to do so. So Winston, just the bulwark in the front lines. It'll be D.Va down on the ground, trying to stall the payload as it rolls around the corner. It's Meza who jumps in, but he does get turned purple immediately. Boink Shrugger striking first. They'll collect for 2 kills, taking the wheels off this Complexity offense nice and early. Make it 3. WGB fragging out on his enemy Lucio counterpart, and they'll have a nice hold here to get things underway.
That's one interesting thing about the dive compositions really becoming popular, is that Tracers and Genjis and things like that can just last so long on their own that death timing actually is a really huge part of it. And when you see a Tracer on their own at the end of a fight, usually they're going to try and hide so that they can get an early jump on the next fight, but if they get staggered, it can really ruin an offensive push. So Tracer players specifically have a tough time gauging that sort of thing. You've got the defenders leaping in super aggressive here. Muma's going to find 2 kills immediately onto the attackers in the car wash area.
That's another way to get staggered. Tracer up front trying to make plays, and then the backline gets shredded. Muma, he'll need some healing. He'll get it from across the way by Bonnie, who now closes in on a nano boost. So this next fight could be a pretty big ultimate advance. They're also closer to their sound barrier by a significant margin. It's really up to Torque, possibly Eco, to find a pickoff to get things underway. Has the pulse bomb available. Sneaking around. Still looking for a clean opening, though. He wants to poke up high ground. Could maybe get this Ana as the nano boost comes out. Shrugger going to unleash the blade. What does he find? So far, Clockwork and then a couple abilities. He hears that Lucio, but can't get on top of him.
Well, Eco had his Dragon Blade out at the same time, no nano required, and found 2 kills of his own, so that is going to give Complexity the push power they need to reach this checkpoint. Muma's going to pop Primal Rage. D.Va Suit going to go flying out here now for Boink, and cannot find a kill. Unfortunately, Muma can't either, so Complexity still standing on the cart. Shrugger in here, super low health. He's going to go down to the Tactical Visor, and the cart should be free and clear by the time this is over.
They really do not like this D.Va. Almost the whole thing thrown into a defense matrix. Just tag Clockwork a couple of times, but still stalling, not ready to give this point up. They are quite staggered. Shrugger coming back to the point. Ana will hang on, but Bonnie goes down. Muma's there, the last man directly in the card. After that, it's Shrugger if he dares to contest, but he won't. He's going to try to hold on top of Spaceship and give them a better staging point for this second checkpoint phase.
Yeah, this is this excuse me, the stagger that we were talking about just moments ago, where the entire defense did die together, or at least got together in time to fight with each other. Meza's going to find the first kill on Clockwork anyway, and Muma's going to dive into the side room here, but there's a lot of Complexity in there. I do expect a Complexity to come out on top just because of the way that they came in there. Shrugger's going to find a couple of kills before going down. Actually still standing, trying to chop up Joe Meister now.
Oh, he could be the savior of this. Looking for the Joe Meister kill, but Joe Meister says no. He's going to commit the sound barrier, then guns him down. Gets that last hit. The cart continuing to move forward, at least for the time being. Complexity.
That's very surprising. That Shrugger got so much value out of that, and still both sound barriers got popped on both sides. WGB, maybe not the best sound barrier ever, and Clockwork is going to be gunned down immediately upon returning.
Here comes Bonnie, though. He closes in now on a nano boost. Could be huge in this fight. Oh, Shake got turned purple. Can't heal him up. Bit unfortunate. Bonnie, though, is going to activate the nano boost, and here we go. Shrugger slashing, now finding Nicholas. That's the second kill of the fight. Turning back for his arch nemesis to Winston. Gets him as well. That's 3 kills for the Genji. All of a sudden, your offense in real danger here. Torque staggered back, has to regroup, but they do have some big ultimates for this next fight. They have their own nano blade. That could be the difference maker.
There's a lot of ults stacked up for now, Complexity side. I think only 2 in the 80s range now for the defense, so Complexity have to win this fight. 5 ults against 0, pretty much inexcusable. Clockwork is going to be pretty close to the Tactical Visor, but there comes the visor from Nicholas to start things off. Shake is going to be the first one down, and Nicholas just gets corralled and destroyed. Eco actually with the Dragon Blade, Nano Blade, finds 2 kills, but is it enough for Complexity to keep moving?
Here comes the counterplay from Clockwork, but is he going to find anyone with the visor of his own? Gets jumped up by the Winston. Primal range, out and ready to go. Bomb gets thrown wildly, and he gets caught on the boundary of the Winston bubble. Won't end up doing a whole hell of a lot. And now Boink, with the self-destruct, ends up falling before he can get back in the mech. Wanted to get to the choppa, but it's not going to happen. Clockwork being roasted by Meza, playing with the shield nicely. Not able to find the kill. So Nicholas falls again. And a frustrated push. Well, you said it's almost inexcusable, but Joshy, it happened. And now they find themselves maybe their last push with that stagger on Joe, or at least like kind of an uncoordinated final push. One real one, and then one rushing back to the cart. That's all they've got here for Complexity.
Yeah, Shake dying immediately is bad, but they still had 5 ults, and Shake obviously missing from the fight is huge because that's CC, that's your bio nade, that's tons of healing being removed from the equation. Nicholas popped his attack visor anyway and got shut down immediately, so it's a rough fight all around. We got Shrugger with the Nano Blade now. Nicholas is going to be the first one chopped in half. Shake already dead, and that's again looking like a Gale Force victory.
All right, well, at least they died quickly, so you would think maybe they have a chance to get back for one more fight. 40 seconds to go. What are they going to have here? They swapped onto the Rhine, so no more D.Va. Or, sorry, not no more D.Va. But it does mean that they're not going to have any big ults ready, really. Just the sound barrier from Joe Meister, who died right away.
Winston leaps on in. That's kind of interesting. Of course, he did have Primal Rage, Sound Barrier coming out now for the attackers and the defenders. Everyone got that blue health. But the card itself, it looks like Meza and Joe Meister are just battling against a single Lucio. There's attack visor for Clockwork on top of Shuttle. Finds the kills that he's looking for. Finishes off the low health targets from the earlier battle. Joe Meister trying to run for his life so that he can continue to contest when this battle is over. But it's looking like Gale Force eSports have wrapped it up.
Complexity getting choked out and shut down here to conclude the map. Overtime ticking down. Torque will not get back to the cart. A lot of swaps there. So, yeah, they did swap off the D.Va, and then Eco went back onto it in his own right, so swapping off of Genji. Unfortunately, that meant they didn't have an Earth Shatter for that fight because the Rhine swap was pretty late. They didn't have a D.Va bomb for Eco to work with. They just had an ult disadvantage, and really all they had to work with was a sound barrier. So tried for the late triple tank, but it seemed like it was too late as far as that swap went.
Yeah, the swaps, I mean, sometimes it's just desperation, and the fact is you can see Shrugger's play of the match here. He was uncontested for too long, I think. Meza was on the Winston for a good chunk of that time, but Shrugger just showed up time and time again. They put all their eggs in the Shrugger basket, and it, you know, paid off with a nice Gibraltar win, and suddenly they're up 1-0 in the series. Complexity on the ropes.
All right, so pride, dignity at stake here, Joshy. What map is Gale for, or is Complexity looking for to at least avoid getting 2-0'd as we head into our second choice?
Well, we saw what maps in the previous series, actually. It was Ilios is always a contender. Dorado as well, I think. But it looks like King's Row Attack is actually going to be the first choice here for Complexity. And I got to say, I like the pool today. I like all these maps pretty much for these teams. But it's Gibraltar going to Gale Force, King's Row Attack, hybrid map. Not too different as far as map types here, but King's Row is, you know, El Clasico. Everyone has played a billion times on King's Row, and they're confident in their tactics here.
All right. Yeah, definitely one of the most played competitive maps. Now we have kind of a different map selection process from when Overwatch first came out and in the early days of towards the end of beta, I guess, and then especially after initial retail release. But yeah, you don't get to see some of those like preferred maps that are a little more figured out as you might like. But it's a nice throwback, so to speak.
Well, it looks like at least Gale Force are ready to go. Complexity are going to join in kind of after we begin. The amount of server teasing you have to do in this Overwatch game is still interesting, just to get basically the most fair server possible for these two teams with some European players in the mix. But King's Row, if Complexity can win anywhere, it's going to be here. I'm curious if they're going to actually try and make Sombra work again, as she can be quite good at these hybrid attacks.
All right. Well, I would certainly love to see it. Anything different for the fans would be a real treat. So we enter King's Row now. We'll have a quick pause, I imagine, while we get these 3 players into the server, guys. Of course, thank you all for joining us. We got the server. Yeah, I believe Echo, Eco, EQO, whatever it is. I think he is. I know he's from Europe, so I don't know if he's the only factor, but definitely one of them. As to why they would want the US East server, but he's in now. Looks like we're good.
All right,
yeah,
I'm gonna ask again here while we're paused and see if we can get an answer
force an
out of him.
answer
But
out of him.
I want to know, man, because if I have to cast them in the future, it's good to have everyone on the same page. There's still some Overwatch characters people still haven't come to consensus on. Anna or Anna. If you listen to the Overwatch videos, they actually say it both ways. Orisa is how it's said for the new hero, but people still are saying Orisa. So I don't know. I usually just go to Play Overwatch YouTube channel and try to listen to the characters say the names in most parts. But player names, that's just completely out of my hands. He's shy.
All right. Well, if he's that shy, I guess we'll just make a name up for him.
How about Ego with a G?
Echo. Okay. Echo, you
All
were
right.
you were right, Joshy. Good call. Yeah, so guys, this is our second to last match of Group A. The teams have all played a big round robin, all BO3 games. The final match will be Rise Nation versus CLG, which is not going to decide who advances. We already know our top four. All of them go to the playoffs, but will slightly affect seeding potentially. But yeah, Rise Nation versus CLG, the last match coming out. Rise Nation with the big upset over LG Evil earlier in the group stage. And CLG, I'm trying to remember who they beat, but they had a kind of surprise win as well at one point, I want to say. Was it against Rise Nation?
CLG
No, because they're
CLG
playing
beat
them.
Gale Force and Complexity only so far.
Okay. Oh, you know what it was? They took a map off of Selfless, I think. I think they took one
Yes.
map off of Selfless, which was really
They took
surprising.
they took a map off of LG Evil.
Oh, LG Evil. Okay, yeah, but
Yeah.
that was like where I was like, okay, this team's actually kind of competitive. Might be able to catch some folks off guard, but yeah, still searching for that big win against one of the top teams in the group. So that'll be our last match of the day, and then Group A is a wrap, and we move on to Group B.
It's rough in North America right now because there's a lot of like top tier orgs, and then there's kind of a shelf where kind of the teams that play in weeklies. I'm not going to break it into tiers or anything like that because obviously any team can beat any other team on the right day and the right maps. But the weekly grinders, I would say, LG Evil used to be there. I think the Rivalcade NA Weekly I cast every week. They Bird Noises before they were signed by Hammers and then LG Evil. They won 3 in a row. Selfless won 2 in a row. So I mean, a lot of these teams actually kind of have to be in the proving grounds for quite a few weeks before they gain sponsors' attentions and tournament invites and things like that. So happy to see LG Evil, Gale Force, CLG, all of these guys, grinders, starting to go toe-to-toe with these more established organizations. And Group B has Rogue in it, for example, so seeding is very important here when you're trying to avoid a team like that.
Yeah, it's certainly a team that looked dominant in the Monthly Madness previously since their recent move over to NA. So it's going to be Echo, now that we've got that sorted out, poking around Statue here to get things started on Kane's row. Flanking around is Nicholas on the high ground, and now jumping down, looking for the initial pickoff as the Tracer. That Rhine Shield getting pretty low. Onto the objective, trying to draw them back, at least for the time being. Working on Shrugger as they head indoors. Clockwork, the man poking out for Gale Force. Still looking for that first pick, though. Very slow opening.
It's so strange to see the defense in front of the hotel rather than behind it when the contesting starts. That's like they tried to do a full rotation around the statue and only got halfway, and then they got trapped because Nicholas and Winston were already on the point. And now there's almost 2 ticks secured already, but the kills are piling up now. Gale Force really finding the kills there. Boink on Zarya specifically being a monster.
Yeah, they give up 1 tick, but they win the first fight. I mean, I would say that's well worth it. Now, can they hold the second time? They have a Nano Visor ready. They almost have a Genji Blade. So it's looking pretty good for this potential second defense.
Echo does have his already prepared, though. Complexity, if they can press on this timing, it'll be nice. But Torque is going to eat a biotic grenade from across the field from Banny. Long-range throw there does stop Complexity in their tracks. They're going to wait for that respawn. Meza also falling super low. Good thing he didn't get popped as well.
Bomb comes out from Nicholas. Didn't land the stick, but still enough damage done to Clockwork's rear that he'll bring him down. And now, looking for the blade initiation, Shrugger charges in, gets the nano boost, slices through one, turns back for the Tracer as well, quickly deals with him, and then can poke Echo in the rear. He'll get that kill too. So he finds the enemy Genji, and with that, the point just barely being contested, at least for now, but a pretty solid overall hold by Shrugger.
Shrugger is just surgical with that Dragon Blade. He popped after he dove all the way into the back. Muma was there as Winston to help him deal some damage. After he jumped over the wall, he found his next target so quickly. The blade was still out. Got a 3rd kill with it and a 4th follow-up onto Genji. So Shrugger definitely, I mean, whether he's putting the team on his shoulders or not doesn't really matter as long as he's getting these kills. They are looking just fine. Transcendence is going to get triggered here by Shake, and there's tac visors on both sides.
Boink is pretty close to a grab, but already down a few. Muma leaping onto the point, wants to contest it. He gets one kill with the help of Shrugger. They start to tag team here, finding more. The dash reset's coming in at a critical moment. Still alive, tries to climb the wall, Not going to be able to get out safely. They have that grab though, and they'll let it go with Muma there. Can he find the follow-up damage? Backing off of the point. Wants that Lucio sound barrier to keep him in fighting shape a bit longer, charging onto Joemeister. Still holding here as Kings Row defense. You rarely see it like this, but Gale Force hiding in there. And now, with the kills inside, they might actually be able to hold completely. Lucio gets back on the point, but there to greet him is Muma. Slowly working, quickly bringing him down now with the help of Shrugger. They still hold, and they even are going to kill off Meza on the Winston. This is not an easy attack phase for phase 1.
Definitely not. Complexity just bashing their heads into the wall here again. Shrugger and Muma both down now actually does give them enough time to take a 6v4 fight before those guys are going to be able to return. So if they can dive onto Clockwork or Banning here, they should give themselves a huge door open. But the bio field plus bio nade actually does keep them in pretty good health. Of course, Complexity are going to march all over the point while they have the numbers advantage, but the returners have actually arrived.
Oh, the blade gets shut down. They wanted to combo it with the grab from the nano-boosted Boink. Probably would have been able to charge it, but Shrugger is denied almost instantly. And with that, a quick cap in the end, though the overall time, not great.
No, as long as they can get it, at least they're happy to have it. And the second stretch is going to be a bit of a struggle now as a result. The attackers are going to push all the way toward this back area just because they want to take as few fights as possible during the second stretch. If they could have gotten a pick there, it would have bought them a lot of time. Now I think they're in a position where they need to back up.
They're playing without their Zen, who has the Transcendence to work with, and they're going to lose 2 here as they try to retreat. The chase will come out. Shrugger looking for additional cleanup kills. Clockwork also there on the Tracer. And they are going to potentially find Torque as well, so that aggressive offense really getting punished heavily. They won't even be able to hold payload, so now they potentially lose that pay-hold heal factor, and all of a sudden they could get spawn camped if they lose a couple more heroes.
That risk-reward scale is a sliding scale. So if they had gotten into the defense's face quickly enough and gotten 1 kill, the snowball suddenly is huge on their side. Unfortunately, it went all wrong for them because they lost their first player. So the defense ended up in the same spot it would have been anyway, with only one person pushing the cart. Graviton surges out, and Joemeister and Mez are both caught in it with the bio nade. The pulse bomb explosion from Clockwork gets them both.
Nice pick off there, but the turn comes back the other way as Meza able to Primal Rage and slap everyone off the cart. So now Complexity getting some momentum on this payload. They did not get the Genji Blade off that fight. Shrugger died at 96%, a little bit less, so see if they can hold. Soldier being brought out here just to try and get back to the cart in time, I want to say. They'll have a nano boost here on the defense, as well as the Blade. Is it going to be enough, though? No real setup.
Yeah, Boink moving to the Soldier is fine for this last stretch. There's a Nano Blade out now for Shrugger, but it's in the face of the Transcendence and that Visor from Torque. Torque did not have a Nano Boost, but 2 Attack Visor's kills regardless is going to earn them the checkpoint here in just a moment. As long as they can sustain this Winston that's on the cart, it'll be all over. And wow, second stretch worked out very well for them despite being kind of reset that first time. It was smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, Echo had a pretty ineffective Blade of his own, but it was so staggered and discombobulated from the defense, didn't really seem to matter in the end. As Nicholas will push a bit farther forward, trying to find those pickoffs. Clockwork closing in on the pulse bomb potentially, and perhaps most importantly, as you're on defense, is the stalling tactics. They have Muma with the Primal Rage. He's going to jump in right away, try and focus on that Zenith, stay behind the barrier so it doesn't drop too quickly, but does manage to force Shake back, at least for now. Leaping back in, Primal Rage committed, bringing him down. Can he swat anyone off the map? He's going to try. He will manage to dunk the enemy Winston. That's a double kill for Muma. A lot of time wasted now. Big plays.
Shrugger, Muma, obviously just lighting up the kill feed once more. It's going to be Complexity corralled into their spawn. Joemeister finds the first kill on Shrugger of all things. It's going to be a headshot to get the job done. So it's a 6v5 advantage as they come rolling out here. Torque is the only one with an ultimate. Unfortunately, even the defense are completely dry here. So this could be a big battle for Complexity to round the corner.
You're going to see Nicholas off the Tracer and now going on to the Hog as they try to push this thing through. Boink coming in, has the Visor. Not really finding a whole lot just yet, but perhaps Muma and Shrugger can clean up. In comes Clockwork as well. Looks like he set them up nicely for a flank maneuver. Then the dive comes in from behind. Boink, once they turn their attention, is able to find 2 kills. Forces this Complexity offense back on its heels. Only 45 seconds. A lot of work to do to complete the map.
Echo is over onto the Zarya now. Perhaps they think that they need a Graviton Surge here to actually get out of their spawn, but Winston, Muma actually all the way on the opposite side of the map, actually pulling them away
Space
from
created,
their
man.
objective. It's very interesting, yeah.
Shrugger going to work with the blade. Can he find more kills? He dashes through, but it's into a soldier who's got the power of sound parry to keep him in fighting shape. So Torque will deal with him. Survives and lives to fight another day, and now trying to deal with this Winston will bring down Muma on the retreat, but Boink, in turn, closing in on a visor of his own. Might be able to kill off Torque. With the help of Clockwork, he's found a couple. Time a real issue now. They've got to commit. They've got to do it now. It's a whole hog from Nicholas, but nothing really to follow it up. Boink with the tactical visor. He gets slept and taken out of the fight immediately, unslept, and that's a problem. He's found 2 kills on the back of it. A third, looking for the Rhine, won't even get to the payload. And here they hold. Gale Force, in the end, a pretty strong and staunch defense on the 3rd point.
Yeah, point A was nearly in full hold territory. Second stretch was a little wonky, but then they easily made up for it there in the 3rd stretch, basically spawn camping them for 3 solid minutes. And Boink in that last stretch did a great little flanking play, though. The nano visor from Complexity obviously made them push toward the cart as quickly as possible, but it was Boink on the soldier behind them that was able to get that quick kill onto Roadhog. He did get put to sleep, as you mentioned, but as soon as he woke up, Helix Rocket planted on the enemy, was able to get even more kills. I think he ended up with 3 or 4 killing blows over the course of that fight. So Complexity, I don't know if it was the hero selections or what. I don't know if any of these guys had some other options that they could have pulled out, but the final stretch was just really heartbreaking. They could have swapped, I think, to 4 tanks or something like that just to be able to break out a spawn and then send someone back to switch, because that was just pretty brutal. They needed to deal with Shrugger's Genji and Boink Soldier on opposite ends of the field, which can, of course, be very difficult to do, but at least give yourselves some HP to wiggle out of that tough position.
A lot of swapping and a lot of it pretty late from Complexity, so we'll see if they find a composition they want to stick with a bit longer here. For now, showing that fairly beefy tank style lineup. Nicholas on the hog felt like his Tracer was a bit lackluster, especially compared to some of the guys we saw earlier today. Train, Sinatra, obviously tough to top those guys, but a few missed sticks. Wasn't able to find too many pickoffs, so he's going to try for the Roadhog. Some good hook opportunities here, but a lot of very elusive heroes at the same time. So we'll see if he's able to open things up initially. The guy I really have my eyes on is Echo, who has had a huge Zarya for this team, getting Graviton often within like the first 2 fights, sometimes even the middle of the 2nd fight, if he has a good start. Close to 100 energy for much of the game when I've seen him play it before. And I feel like he needs that performance if they're going to hold here.
Well, he is a valuable tool, as you mentioned. Graviton Surges can win fights just alone sometimes if the Zarya is high charge enough, so definitely can be a playmaker. It's going to be Muma already in the back line. That was kind of a sneaky route that he took, but they're going to jump directly onto the healers, perhaps from an angle they didn't expect. It's going to be Ana under the gun incredibly quickly. Shake does crumple in the attack, and Muma is going to fall as well, but that's a 5v4 advantage for Clockwork and company here.
Yeah, Shrugger from behind, pressing them as much as possible, moving on towards the Zarya. Only at 20% on the Graviton, so not even close to it. Had some good energy to start the fight off, but the follow-up a bit lacking as we see Clockwork and Shrugger very close to those early DPS ultimates, about 90% for both of them, fragging out on Complexity. Gale Force doing a lot of work, a very fast pace being set, and now diving on the Shake. They'll slay him as well. Will they go for the same level of aggressive offense, though? It kind of bit Complexity in the end, and it doesn't look like it. They're peeking, but they're not really committed to this.
We're back to the same position as last round, where the attackers are forcing all the way up. They're leaving 1 healer on the cart. So again, this is that risk-reward sliding scale that the first pick here is going to make an enormous difference how the pace of this game goes. They're going to have an opportunity with Muma up here in the front. They maybe didn't know that Meza was ready to react to him, so Muma does get blown up. There's also a Tracer in rather low health. Banny on the Zenyatta is actually in low health as well if they can find him, but the cart itself has moved only to that first corner over the course of this battle.
This Zen is so deep, and he's actually going to commit his ultimate here to try and survive. Hands on, by the way, Echo, he did switch over to the Genji, so we're not going to have a Zarya anymore in this fight as Torque drops the aimbot. Finding a whole lot. We'll finally lock down Bonnie. Committed to Transcendence, didn't get anything out of it, really. And now they're going to lose this Tracer as well, potentially. Yeah, Clockwork staggered and run down. Oh, a great first phase of attack. Joshi, a very questionable second phase so far.
I'm officially not a fan of the send 5 forward strategy. I think you can send like a Tracer and or Genji forward and have enough. I think the 3 pushing on the payload would have gotten them more than they ended up with here, and also would have given them a position to stop the defense from getting the spot they wanted. But here we go, Meza is actually going to get the nano boost, the defensive Winston. There's also a tag visor out from Boink, finds Echo very quickly, and that should help out Gale Force.
It'll definitely help, but is it going to be enough? Working for those follow-up kills, Shrugger finding his customary pickoffs here on the Genji and dashing forward. Boink will end up bringing down Torque. Still this Ana sticking around near the payload, but not for long. Will end up dying. And the payload again moves forward.
With the feels bad, but I don't know what he did or what happened to him. Of course, Tracer can just get flopped by pretty much instant kills from any direction. So I'm not sure what actually occurred there. Maybe he whiffed a pulse bomb or something like that. But as you can see the parking spot in this third stretch, you know, they're getting ever closer here with quite a lot of time still on the clock. Complexity getting in there. Meza finds Boink very quickly, but the sound barrier now on the cart itself might make it a little bit difficult to grab back. Muma and Clockwork find kills deep in the defensive territory, but the cart itself does belong to Gale Force.
Yeah, the cart belongs to Gale Force at least for now, but it is being contested. Nicholas back onto the Tracer. He almost has a pulse bomb to work with. He's going to start finding kills with the combination from Echo. It's their Tracer Genji duo's turn to frag out, and they will hold the cart, the payload, in a pretty awkward position. Blade at the ready. Nano boost not that far off. Aimbot also available. Tactical visor could be used in this next fight for Torque, so time still there for the offense, but 2-3 lost fights, and suddenly they're going to be out of it.
That's true, but time is now starting to work against them. That last wipe did bleed a lot of time off the clock. Clockwork are going to get right into Shake's face, but actually gets darted away. Clockwork unable to find that kill. Echo survives with like 1 HP there. The defensive Genji finds the kill during Dragon Blade instead.
Let's get roasted by Muma in turn. Now the Transcendence drop. They surge forward. Gale Force looking for pickoffs here. Torque trying to counter with the aimbot. Gets the Ana boost. Has a lot of room to work with, but gets drilled by the stick. Well played by Clockwork, who is able to push this thing a bit further forward. Has to just finish off the enemy Tracer. He will track down Nicholas. Great aim on the Tracer. And sticking those, not easy, but he pulls it off, and now they'll have a solid 3.5 minutes. They don't have to push the payload all that far. This is going to require a hell of a hold.
Yeah, this is one and done territory. The fact that Complexity is letting them get all the way to the corner before pressing up as well means if any single one of them die before ults start flying out, it's going to be over. Joe Meister's sound barrier has to be on point here. Echo actually fell extremely low already, but he's back to full. There's the sound barrier from Joe Meister, gets denied by Muma.
Oh, we won't get it off for this fight. Then quickly the Soldier ultimate to follow up. Pulse Bomb got lobbed in from distance by Nicholas, but few heroes remain on the side of Complexity. Boink just doing laps around the interior here of King's Row. Finishes off Meza. Payload surging in. Gale Force, they will regain some dignity here. They take the series 2-0. Complexity, the struggles continue.
For Complexity, I mean, this was not a great look for them. This was the only winnable, series potentially for them. Obviously, they dropped the rest already, but 0-2 exit there on Gibraltar and King's Row. I think Complexity definitely will need to take some time to re-examine these games and figure out what their weaknesses are, what they can work on, what strengths they have that they can try to press advantages on. For example, Gale Force have Shrugger. They know Shrugger's going to kill things. They give him the Nano Blade every time. If Complexity can just work out their issues, I think we haven't seen the last of them, of course, but they definitely need to go back to the drawing board. And it's going to be Gale Force eSports escaping with the series win, so they are going to at least get that honor and dignity of not going winless here in Group A.
Yeah, I mean, for me, from what I've seen of Complexity, at least in the Overwatch PIT tournament, it really feels like they're just a bit unsure of their team identity. Echo, he's versatile, but he's also swapping almost like 2 or 3 times per round, sometimes from off tank, to like a straight DPS role, often too late to charge an ultimate. Not to pin on him, obviously these are all team decisions.
Right.
Nicholas, pretty inconsistent. Sometimes he has great games on the Tracer, the Roadhog, sometimes just can't seem to land a stick or a hook. So inconsistency and just kind of a lack of team identity. Like those to me are the 2 biggest issues for Complexity right now.
Yeah, the revolving door roster, I mean, Meza and Echo both playing from Europe is a consideration. They have extremely high ping. I don't know if they're able to get scrims at the same times of day, things like that. Like time zone can be a huge factor here, and it's actually kind of shocking that most of our NA teams in this tournament don't have a lot of European players, or at least they're all located in North America for the time being, because a lot of these teams have been picking up kind of the best available, and a lot of times they come from Europe. So complexity, couple of factors working against them. Gale Force seem to have found a composition that's working at least well for them in the last stretch. Clockwork and Sugar really doing a good job on DPS are two of the newer additions to that Gale Force squad, so they can at least hang their hat on that nice final series 2-0 victory over Complexity.
Yeah, so perhaps signs of things to come. I think Gale Force had their moments where they looked like they could be competitive. Certainly, the results aren't going to show it. As take one final look at the standings. Both of these teams now, actually coming into today, I believe, already officially eliminated from Overwatch Pit. So the 4 teams moving on, we already know that. It's Selfless, it's Rise Nation, LG Evil, and CLG. They advance to the playoffs. Now, how that exact seeding is going to work out depends on this last match. CLG 2-2 facing Rise Nation is 3-1. Should Rise Nation win, it's a very straightforward 1-4 seeding based on record. If CLG wins, we got some interesting tiebreakers, but we'll find out more about that after this break, guys. He's Joshy. I'm LD. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at AskJoshy, and you're watching the Overwatch Pit NA Championships. Group A action wrapping up. One more match to go. We'll see you after this.